React. Then we will start to talk about features of React.js. Then we will make a small demo. So after this demo, we will have knowledge about React fundamentals, handling events, build components, how to React renders UI, and debugging and developer console. So, what is React? React is open source JavaScript library for creating user interfaces. It focuses on UI, renders your UI. It is only responsible for view layer. So React does only one job, but does this job very well. It is not a framework like Angular. It is a library. I will give some information about these differences. It is developed by Facebook, as you know, very powerful web development environment it is. And Instagram started to use it after Facebook in 2012. You can't build fully functional web apps with using only React, because React is only focused on view layer. React, also known as React.js. As you know, React Native is another framework that is responsible for developing mobile applications. There are a lot of similar backgrounds, React and React Native, but they are not completely the same. So why React is a library and not a framework? Let's look at two definitions of framework and library briefly. A framework is a software where you plug your code into. You plug your code into framework. A library is a software that you plug into your code. So you have a framework and you wrote some code inside this framework. Your framework has this code. Library, you have your code and you are using this library inside your code. And framework has both of them. According to this definition, React is a framework. But in 2020, to say a technology is a framework, we expect some more features like routing, built-in routing mechanism, HTTP calls, and dependency injection properties, some templates. But as I said before, React only focused on rendering UI. There is no built-in HTTP request in React. So this situation raises a concern. How React can handle this issue? Yes, Angular and other frameworks has some built-in libraries inside itself to make HTTP calls. But how about React? This example really demonstrate us differences between library and framework. And it will demonstrate us different views of React and Angular. For example, in this example, React has no such built-in HTTP feature. So how do we access network in React? There are many HTTP libraries we can use to fetch data from an endpoint. For example, Fetch is third-party library that is an ECMAScript 6 standard, and Axios is another third-party library. For example, let's look at the Fetch usage of Fetch. Fetch is a native browser API for making HTTP requests. As you can see, in this code, developer directly used Fetch API, and there is an endpoint API users. Then it gets a response with a JSON conversion. Then with this code, it takes result after conversion to JSON. Then it assigns this result to another variable with setState method. So it is very easy to use. If we look to other third-party library, Axios, as you can see, with Node Package Manager, install Axios. Then after installing this third-party library inside React, you can easily import it with this code. And it is same with Fetch. You can easily use like this. Let's look at the Angular. As you can see, Angular has its own built-in libraries, and you should know them. There is no choice in the beginning of Angular. Yes, you can use third-party libraries too inside Angular, but recommended one is using built-in libraries. As you can see, Angular Common HTTP. It is important with other necessary libraries, and it is directly used inside these functions. So framework versus library point of view, Angular versus React. I think it is embodied in our mind. So prerequisites, basic knowledge of HTML and CSS is necessary to start to learn React. And JavaScript, we think minimum 3 months JavaScript experience is a need to start React. And for code quality, ECMAScript 6 standards should be learned before start React. And how to use NPM is another prerequisite. And DOM tree, because React manipulates DOM tree for rendering UI. As you can see, this is a web application actually. In browsers, in the background, websites is working with this structure, with this DOM, document object model. DOM stands for document object model. So JavaScript, ECMAScript 6 standards, we have let and const variable definition keywords. We have previously, we were only using var to define a variable. Var, you can define a global variable, functional scope variable with var, but you can't define a block scope variable with var. And you can assign, reassign again and again a variable if it is defined with var. Let, you can't define a global scope variable with let. And const, as you know, you can't be reassign a variable if it is defined with const keyword. Yes, JavaScript frameworks in 2020. Top frameworks are generally React, Angular, Vue, and jQuery. We will discuss about React, Angular, and Vue, but let's talk briefly with jQuery. For legacy projects, jQuery is still using with developers. For example, if you have an existing project in your company, majority of these projects is still using jQuery. But if you started to a new web application, you don't need to use any jQuery codes because React, Angular, and Vue already has more modern JavaScript codes. So jQuery had a really important role in previous years. because when we have only vanilla JavaScript, it was really hard to write long functions, complex and secure functions. With jQuery, as you know, there are a lot of built-in functions, and we do a lot of much more work with less code than vanilla JavaScript. So thanks to jQuery again, and bye for it. Ember, it is like an Angular framework. It uses built-in MVC pattern. It is less flexible, but if you want to generate a web application very fast, you can choose Ember and Backbone. If you look to backend, Express.js is a de facto Node.js framework, and some of the Express.js developers created Koa, and there are some built-in libraries about HTTP calls and security. Meteor is a cross-platform framework. You write both front-end and back-end only JavaScript, so only one language for both sides. As you know, we have front-end frameworks and back-end frameworks, and this graph is demonstrate us with frameworks we connect different parts easily. And do we need frameworks? This question is also very important. Why we need frameworks? Because, as you know, there are a lot of ready-to-use feature. To writing this feature will be really hard from scratch. And there are, for example, let's think about a JavaScript framework. Probably writers of this framework knows JavaScript better than us, and they created these frameworks to write fast and write less and do more. So we need frameworks. React, Vue.js, and Angular. Yeah, this comparison is very classic in these years. When we talk about the front-end world, we have really powerful opportunities. Let's, for example, begin with Angular. Briefly, Angular, as you know, Google developed it, and its code consistency is really high, very mature platform, and code consistency decreases bugs and improves productivity, as you know. Ecosystem of Angular, it is a fully functional framework. So ecosystem is really big. You can find whatever you need inside Angular framework, but you need to learn it, you need to find it. MVC architecture, as you know, MVC is a good software development design pattern, and it provides separation of concerns. And Angular has built-in MVC architecture. It forces developers to be inside this pattern. There is built-in dependency injection functionality. And Angular, like a puzzle, its modulation is really good. So debugging, bug fixing, addressing an issue is not so hard. Const learning curve. If we compare Angular with React and Vue, especially Vue, learning curve is so much higher than them. and performance is not as fast as React and Vue because Angular changes browser DOM, real DOM. Angular don't use to virtual DOM like React, so performance is not good like React and Vue. But it is improving day by day. They are working for it, but again, there are some gaps between them. Migration and backward compatibility, it is again another important const of Angular because after Angular create a new version, there isn't any auto migration tool, successful auto migration tool, and some old codes can't run without an error in new version of Angular. We faced with these issues and it wasn't so funny. When to choose Angular? Angular is your choice if you want to develop a large project and want to extend it with time. If you have an enterprise application and you have a very much time to develop it, and after years, if you will add some new features to this big project, Angular can be a good choice. React, the most popular one at these years. Pros, great view layer technology because it's only focused on rendering UI. Backward compatibility, React, you don't need to think, will we update React's new version or not, because it will always compatible with backward. With previous version. Ubiquity and future-proof, as you know, React is getting popular and popular day by day, and React is in everywhere, in web application, mobile application, and its future is looking really bright. Learning effort is lesser than Angular. As you know, you can use JavaScript inside React. It has JS6. It is a const because you need to learn any JavaScript syntax. But after you learn JS6, it is really hard, really easy to code with JS6. And learning effort is not so much high because you are only you need to understand how this React works, its component structure. There are some React-specific working methodology. After you learn it in a couple of weeks, you can start to code. Data binding is one way. So Angular is two-way data binding, has two-way data binding. One-way data binding is easy to manage because if your UI changes with only one resource, it is really to manage it easy, because if there will be two-way binding, this two-way will affect other side of the window, and it's getting a little bit complexer. One-way data binding is generally a good choice when developing a UI. Performance is really good because React is using virtual DOM, and we will discuss about virtual DOM. You will understand mechanism of that, and its performance is really high. First-class progressive web app support, thanks to create React app library. It comes with this support. Jobs, we will take a look to job advertisements. It is market leader now. Easy to start a mobile project because you can use majority of your React knowledge when writing React Native. Const integration is a const. Because as you know, React only consider about how to render your UI, and there are a lot of third-party libraries to be integrated. React leaves developers to make our own choices. If you are working in a big project, each developer can choose different libraries, so project will be harder to manage and project will get complexer. So there need to a solution architect or a technical team leader when making this kind of choice. It is moving away class-based components because React generally using functional components. GSX, it is a kind of JavaScript syntax, NEB. You can write HTML inside JavaScript, and you can write JavaScript inside HTML with GSX. So when a developer starts React, it is better to learn it, and it is a little bit learning curve. When to choose React? React allows developing flexible projects with significant ecosystems, so nearly everywhere, for every need, you can use React. Vue.js, yeah, approachable, easy to start. It is really easy to learn and easy to start. Size, its library size is teeny. Readability is so high. Vue.js has a kind of JavaScript and HTML mixed syntax, and it is really easy to read and write. Performance is really high because it is using virtual DOM like React. Popularity among developers is really high, and it is getting better and better day by day. Cons, small community. A Google developer developed this Vue.js, and a small Chinese American development group is keep going to develop this Vue.js. Over flexibility, as you know, flexibility is a good thing, but over flexibility is hard to manage like React. Lack of resources, as you know, React and AngularJS are really huge community, have really huge community, but Vue.js is still on progress. When to choose Vue.js, it is excellent if you need a lightweight framework with a simple learning curve. Yeah, according to project management approach, when choosing a library, a framework, we need to think about budget. If we have enough budget and if our scope is so high, and if we have enough time, Angular can be a good choice. If we have low budget and if our scope is small or medium, and we need to complete this web application very fast, Vue.js can be a good choice. React, it's really a lot of big company using React for their own big projects. And as you know, startups generally choosing React for small projects. Yeah, you can use React almost everywhere. But generally, until this day, general knowledge, if you have medium budget and your project is a medium-sized project, and you have a few time to complete this project, React is a good choice, but it is changing day by day. Companies choosing React more than previous years. Let's do together our live benchmarks and see, and together let's see what is the latest situation of these libraries. Google Trends, NPM Trends, and IT Jobs Watch, and Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow has, as you know, very important survey that is a developer perspective. Stack Overflow will demonstrate us to the developer perspective. IT Jobs Watch will demonstrate us business perspective. And Google Trends and NPM Trends will demonstrate us both sides. Let's go to Google Trends. Past 12 months, it is React situation. As you can see, we can see Vue, Angular, and I put React Native here. If you look at that, if you exclude this React Native from React.js, you will calculate to real React keyword, because as you can see, it is search interest. So as you can see, React is really good in the United Kingdom, and Angular is second one. It is still in progress calculating this part. If you look to solid parts, there are really big gaps. Vue.js is third one. NPM Trends, as you know, we are downloading these libraries from NPM. Last 6 months, React is here, Angular and Vue is here. Green one is Angular core. Let's add Angular. It's there. Ember, as I mentioned before, is here. So there is really huge gap. Let's go to IT Jobs Watch. Contract IT jobs, React rank is this. Let's look at the Angular parallelly. And then Vue.js. Contract IT jobs. Yeah, Vue.js rank is this. It is Angular. It is React. React is a little bit increasing according to previous year. Angular is unfortunately decreasing. Daily rate is same with React. Vue.js is again same, but Vue.js popularity is really increasing day by day. Let's look at the Stack Overflow developer survey. It is the latest survey because survey of this year is still in progress. Let's search about, yeah, it is usage percentage. As I said before, jQuery is still in use. React and Angular very close to each other. React Native is here, not bad. Most loved, rated, and wanted frameworks, React and Vue.js. So, as you can see, it is live up-to-date data. We analyzed current situation, I think, together. According to get a good job, it is better to add React to your CV, I think, because market is dominating by React Vue, especially React. So I think as soon as possible, if you have time, better to work on React, and it will be better to add to your resume. So let's dive into React, React features. Component is really important thing when we are talking with React. Component is a piece of the UI. Each UI piece is a component in React. For example, here is line is a component and reused several times. These components are independent from each other. You can use these components in other pages too. For example, we can write a component with this code. It is defined with var and React create class. Render method is a mandatory method. Each component must have a render method inside itself. And you can use this component inside other components with this text, with this code. Action button. It is, for example, network component. Inside network component, we have this text for line component. For example, it is action button component and it is used for 3 times. They are all independent from each other. You can think it is a kind of puzzle. As you can see, here is departure board component, and inside there is a train component. Each component, as I said before, render is a mandatory function, and it has the output of its output is a React element. After render function executed, it sends a piece of UI to the browser. By the way, is there any can you hear me?
Yes.
I think we lost him.
Yes, it seems that.
Let me.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, Gurhan?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
yes.
we could.
How about sound quality? Is
yes,
it good?
it's good. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we have everybody here.
The internet connection is not stable. Yeah.
Okay, let me again share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
No.
Not at the moment.
Okay, let me share again.
Yes, it's okay now.
Okay. Did you see this page, or I can go others? I can go back.
No, no.
You were talking about render methods, as I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Javed. Render method, okay. Yeah, render methods sends a piece of UI to the browser. Let me share it again. Yes, each React application has a root app component, And these are child components under the app. So if you want to develop a web application like Twitter, let's think about its component structure. I think top one here should be a navbar. There should be a navbar component at top, and there should be a profile component. Under profile component, besides near to profile component, there will be a feed news component, and there are tweet and like components under this parent feed component. So component is this, and virtual DOM is another powerful side of React. Virtual DOM is a DOM tree that is created from React in memory. It is a lightweight copy of a browser DOM, real DOM. For example, when a change rises in React project, it firstly changes to virtual DOM, and React sends this change to real DOM. Let's look at this action. It will demonstrate us how to React work, why its performance is so high. After user click to tweet button inside a web application, it will trigger a API, and we will take a return. This result, API call result, will be handled by API. And this changes some state of the code. These states, after these states changed, there will be some changes in the UI. For example, user click to like button. It will execute an API call, and there will be change in the screen. So, as you can see, React knows which node changed in the screen. React understands this changing very powerful breadth-first algorithm, and it starts to mark changed nodes from top level to child level. So, as you can see, it selects, it marks nodes that they will be changed and sends these nodes to browser. React sends only nodes that need to be changed, nothing more. And after changing this virtual DOM to real DOM, we can see latest situation of the screen. In a second, about 200,000 virtual DOM can be created with React because it is really lightweight. So developer that we did before in JavaScript and jQuery don't need to write these kind of DOM manipulation commands like get document by ID or update document like query selector. We don't need to write vanilla JavaScript to update UI. React do this job very well for us. GSX is a JavaScript HTML like syntax. As you can see, it stands for JavaScript XML, and you can write these JavaScript codes mixed with HTML codes together. Here is a simpler render function example. If you write this code without GSX, it is much more longer than GSX. So after learn GSX, it will really easy to test, to write web applications. Prop is another important feature of React. It stands for properties. It is a special keyword, as you can see in this example. Prop has a special keyword. You can pass data from component by component with props. As you can see in this graph, for example, let's think about here. There is a custom component, fruit equal to mango, and this prop is passed by this code with this kind of coding. As you can see, this custom component handles this prop inside its constructor, and it can be used inside other functions like this. Props.
Gurhan, may I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Is it one directional or bidirectional? Because on the graph on the left, it's one directional.
Yeah, absolutely right. Props can be sent from root to child. It is one directional. But state, yeah. But state again, you can't send your component state to other components. You can send, if you want to send data to other components, you can do it only props with one direction. And these props can affect to change states. Let's switch to another example. As you can see, let me switch to, yeah. For example, this code exists inside other component, and this is action button component here. This is another parent component. This is action button component, and you can see when writing this action button component inside other component, you can pass a prop with this text. Text is equal to book flight, and you can use this text prop inside this action button component, as you can see, and you can pass a function as a prop like this. On-click method will trigger this function. So this function exists in another component, and inside action button, if you press to on-click, it will trigger this function. And this function is inside parent. State is its meaning is same with its job. It is state of a component. If you change state changings always triggers render methods. So state changings always sends some piece of UI to the browser. So state changing is really important part of React. To assign some value to state, this method is a wrong because React can't understand if a state is changed or not. We should use setState method to update a state's property. There is a difference between props and states, and it is a really important difference. Its usage, getting data from state, is similar with prop. Here is a special keyword, this .state. And you can't get it from another component. You can't pass this state to other components. the only way props. State is state of a component. It is related with only of its own state, if its own component. For example, you can see here car has brand, model, color, and year states. Let's analyze their differences. Props are immutable, and you can't change props. You only get props from other components, and you can pass props to other components. Props has better performance because props never updates UI and can be passed to child component. State owned by its own component. Locally scoped, writable, mutable. After each write, it updates UI, as I said before, has state method to modify properties. Change to state can be asynchronous, can only be passed as props. So that's all for now for theoretical side of React, and we discussed market position, and we mentioned about general web development in 2020. Let's write some codes together to understand what really React works. And for setup, you need some important technology. You need to download Node because, as you know, JavaScript runs on browsers. To run JavaScript inside another place, you need Node.js. We don't write any Node.js. It is only a background mechanism to run our JavaScript codes inside other place. And we will need create React app. With this create React app, a lot of configuration will be ready to use for us. And generally, I'm using Visual Studio Code. I think majority of the developers are using Visual Studio to develop web applications. And there are really powerful software development editors. For example, PHP developers are using PHP Storm, and it is really powerful too. But we will choose VS Code, and we will install simple React snips and prettier extensions to format our code easier. So let's begin from beginning. Can you see my Visual Studio Code screen?
Yes, we could.
Perfect. Yeah, Visual Studio has its own terminal, and it is built in, so we can use it. So there are some ready-to-use components. For example, I installed it here. My network connection is horrible. Sorry for that. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it's formats your code very easily. and it sets different colors to your code, and it really gets your developer studio really enjoyable. Let's start again. Okay. Firstly, I will create two.
Yeah, I think we will create a brand new project with the create React application, and then we can use the npm starter.
Let me check it. Rasim, do you have something to add? I always talk very fastly, and you know the React is much as me.
Yeah, I think on your presentation screen, you know, we can follow the steps. Can you go to? Can you go? Can you jump to swap with your presentation? Can you show your presentation?
Yes. Can you see my screen?
No, not at the moment.
No.
Okay, let me share again.
Yeah.
It's really holding my network.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
yes. Currently, yes.
Yeah. Can you jump to your latest?
Visual Studio. Visual Studio, I think, right? Or
No,
Sorry?
last slide. Can you jump to last slide of your
okay.
presentation? I think the last one. Yeah, by the way, guys, Gurhan, today his computer has a problem. That's why he's using my computer. That's why he is not able to find something, you know, as usual.
Because he usually use Windows, but right now
Yeah.
he has to deal with Mac
Yeah,
OS. Sorry
that's
about
why. Yeah. Gurhan?
I think he paused. There is a network issue again.
Network issue, I think, yeah. Oh, I think he's trying to connect. Yeah, again. Yeah. Yeah, normally when you want to start a React project, as the Gurhan mentioned, you know, until the Gurhan join again, maybe I can say something small things. Yeah, first of all, to develop one React project, you need to install Node.js, as he mentioned, just because of the dependency management. By default, when you install Node.js, it will install also npm package, npm as well. Yeah, you can use npm for the dependency management, also you can use Yarn. Maybe some of you knows the Yarn is developed by Facebook as well with for the dependency management. In the market also there is some discussion about it. You know, should we use Yarn or NPM for the independent project? Because you know, somebody says when you use the Yarn, automatically you are registering your dependencies to Facebook for the statistic or some other marketing usage. That's why, you know, many people on these days using the NPM for the project development. And latest version of the NPM, you know, it is really strong. Maybe we can say better than the Yarn on these days. And to create a, first of all, we are developing Node.js just because of the dependency management, and then we are creating one draft project with the npx space create React application.
Yes,
And
that's
then,
great.
Yeah, I think Gurhan, did you connect?
Yeah, but it is my connection is sometimes broken, sometimes good.
Yeah.
Could you share the screen again?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah, maybe Gurhan, instead of creating from the scratch, maybe today you created one project. Maybe you can step by step shows what you did, how did you develop, and then we can run, because we finished our time as well. Maybe we can use 15 minutes to see step by step how did you improve your React project.
Actually, I have a connection now, Rasim. I can demonstrate, I think. Let me show again. So, yes, I executed npm code in the background when I was disconnected. So it's created a project like this. Let me try again. This conflict. Yeah. I executed npm create React app codes, and our project name will be my app 2. This npm create React app library will establish a ready to develop environment for us, and it is, as you can see, developing some important libraries for development. I will demonstrate you all of them. And it is developing a development server to debug our codes, to see our changes. By the way, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. And it is, besides, it is downloading Babel. As you know, all of the web pages don't know what is React, what is Angular, or what is Vue. Web pages only know JavaScript and HTML. So there needs to be some conversion after we write React. Babel, that is installing now with this Create React app. It is converts our React codes to pure JavaScript code for us. And I'm waiting to complete that.
By the way, Gurhan, I think during this time, better to talk about package.json. Yeah, because maybe you can tell or I can talk about it. Because all of the JavaScript-based frameworks, they manage their dependencies via package.json. That's why we need npm or yarn, npm and yarn according to package.json. They are downloading our dependencies, downloading all of the package that we require, that we need. Yeah.
So we have my app 2. Let's open that. Yes, let's analyze two current projects folder structure. There are 3 folders: Node modules, public, and source. There are third-party libraries for React, and React itself is inside here. As you can see, React.js open source library is here. We will not add or delete any thing inside this Node modules folder. npm package manager is already managing this folder. There are some resources for our projects, like images, and there is a manifest file. As you know, manifest file is a kind of property file, configuration file, to specify some properties about resources. Here is configuration icon, and here is index HTML. It has really basic structure, and everything starts from here. Source, generally we put our components inside the source. We have app CSS, and this app CSS is important here. Let's execute terminal. Yes, it is. Yeah, as you can see, it is our current project. It is ready to develop. It is all configured for us, and it really saves our time to configure. But if you want to change any configuration, you can do. Here is Learn React. For example, if you want to change anything inside your editor, I will click to Control S. I think it is offline now. can see the changes. After I will put again, and yeah, it's triggered again, and you can see it is changed immediately. So AppJS is responsible for content. I mentioned about this root component to you. It is a component, as you can see. In React, there are two kinds of components, functional component and class component. This is functional component. There are pros and cons again. But if you want to add some states, some new functions, you have to use class components. Here is test.js, and in this web seminar, it is not our content, but after this session, we will talk about that. Index CSS is here. It is related with general page colors, general page fonts. Yes, it is another index JavaScript file. As you can see, it takes to root from index HTML. As you can see, and it puts content to index HTML with app component. So this index.js takes app component and puts it to the root. Root is here. Root is here. So let's write to our own codes. I will add, let's say it, and let's see problem. Yeah, here you can see it's updated itself, and let's add a brand new JavaScript file. So I will start with importing React. And for example, let's create a const and log something to the browser. I will write, for example, hello world. Yeah, as you can see, here is JavaScript code and here is HTML code. With GSX, we can do it. We will use pure console, pure JavaScript here. Yeah, successful. It is immediately updated to screen. As you can see, let's open to developer console. So here is our DOM tree. I've already demonstrated you in previous slides. Here is DOM tree and console. You can see our logging at here. It is a DOM object, and you can see type h1 and props children hello world. we successfully logged this thing, but we haven't sent this element to browser DOM. Let's send this element to browser DOM together. Sure. To send element to browser, we need to we need to use React DOM to manipulate real DOM. React DOM render. Its first parameter is which element we will render. We will render this one. And to where. To where we want to send this element inside here. And it is here. We will put this element inside root. So document dot. It is from the JavaScript, as you know. So it will so fail to compile because it is not defined. So we need to import its library. It's compiling, compiled successfully, yes. You can see the result. And anything left. So, okay, it is my final words. So thank you for joining. Sorry for this bad internet connection, but I hope I can tell all of things. Our session on this technology will be continued. We are going to explore details of React, and we are gonna code together one by one. At the end of 5 sessions that we will manage it in June, all participants will be able to make a shopping website on their own. I strongly recommend you to participate. We are going to share details. Thank you for joining again. If you have any questions, you can reach me via mail or Rasim. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Gurhan. Really, it was really nice slides, and also, you know, for the sample project in general, yeah, RAG project starts like this. As you see, you know, we will create our components according to our business requirement, and we will render, you know, these to all of our component in a proper structure to browser. Yeah, that's why we keep the project simple because of the time limitation. But in general, to start React is, you know, maybe we can say half of the React. You know, that's why if you know how to start, how to install Node modules and npm or yarn, and then if you know how to create one draft React project, and then if you know which component or object you should put, or which JavaScript object managed by from where, what is prop, what is state, these are really important case, and you can really easily put something on it. Yeah, but the benchmarks, especially for the presentation, they were really impressive. Thank you so much, Gurhan. Yeah, by the way, if you have any question, you can write, or you can ask directly to us, to Gurhan. We can try to answer.
Yeah.
Or later, or also if you, when you need any help or any question, you can directly ping us. You can directly write or call via WhatsApp. We are open. We are ready to do our best. Yeah, if you have any question, you can ask now. Yeah, your session starts. Anyone has question? Hands up your hands.
Yeah.
So can you tell me if it is better to use Yarn or npm as a packet manager for React? I mean, which one is better due to your idea?
I think it doesn't matter for now, because Yarn is very powerful as much as npm. There is no performance, or there is no other differences. All of them only downloads a library and you start to use immediately. It doesn't matter for React side.
Yeah.
Just ask because, you know, Yarn is a Facebook technology and React is a Facebook technology as well, and npm is widely used. So I know that most of the developers prefer npm for to use with React because it's widely used and it works great. But it is also a little bit strange because people are considering npm instead of a native technology from Facebook as well. So that's why I want to ask it.
Yeah, by the way, sorry.
Yeah, Rasim.
Yeah, by the way, Alper, you know, I think, I agree to Gurhan. On these days, both technology, they are, how to say, they are quite, they have quite equal facilities on these days. But previous version of npm was not good, was not powerful as much as React, but as much as Yarn. But by the way, there is one another concern on the market. Yeah, Facebook says yes, Yarn they are developing, but they are saying this is also open source. But everybody concerning about the registry of your project. You know, maybe. They can use that kind of information for the statistics, for the marketing, for the CRM or something. Yeah, that's why most of the open source guys, they prefer to use npm. But as a habit of the React developers, when they start to React with the Yarn, they continue to use Yarn. If you start with npm, you are continuing to use npm, but both of them today is very powerful as a dependency management, project management, and both of them has similar capabilities.
Yes, absolutely. Any questions?
Yeah.
So we are using Babel for to convert our React code to JavaScript, right?
Yes.
Am I correct about it?
Yeah.
So React automatically, is it React automatically doing it for us, or do we need to include it to our package JSON
Babel,
configuration?
Babel in the background do it for us. There are a lot of other technology like Babel, but Babel is a kind of de facto for converting these things for React. There is a Babel web page, and once you write a JSX code inside this Babel web application website, you can see vanilla JavaScript conversion of Babel. Let me search for this web application. Babel.js IO, I think. Yeah. So, here, once you write a JSX code, it converts it directly JavaScript for us.
Yeah, it is completely independent package.
Absolutely.
Yeah. By the way, when we create a React project with the React CLI, it is doing as the Gurhan mentioned before. React is a somebody says it's the framework, somebody says a library. Yeah, yeah. At the end, when we create one project with the React CLI, it is collecting all the required package from the internet, and then it is putting, in your project, and it is making ready your project for the starting. That's why I think when you create a new React project, it is automatically downloading the Babel package, and it is making the configuration. And by default, when you run your React code, it is automatically producing and exposing the core JavaScript code and sending to browser.
Thanks, guys.
Any other question, guys? I am going.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you can continue to follow us on the Meetup, on the other social media, and we will do also web series. We will continue to do web series. We will do Vue.js event and also React Native event, and also a little bit upper intermediate React event as well. Follow us, and if you have any question, you can tell us. By the way, for the React or any other language, unit test is very important. Maybe we can a little bit talk about it. For the React project, predominantly they are using Jest. Jest is developed by Facebook as well. It is for unit testing. And also on these days, Jest is very popular. For example, I was using the Jest for the Node.js project as well. And better to learn TDD approach, pair programming, and we will do, TDD event as well. How can we write properly one project via TDD approach? And you can join to that event as well. It will be very useful for your interview, because predominantly on the interview, they are doing pair programming for the TDD. Yeah, follow us, keep in touch. Thank you, guys. You spent times with us. Yeah, see you.
Thank you very much, Gurhan.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gurhan. Really, it was really nice. Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Good night. Thank you.